I'm a K-I-N-G, baby, I'm all you need. In the off-white Rari, baby, we run the streets. I'm a K-I-N-G, Westside royalty. I'm a K-I-N-G, baby, that's all you need. I'm a K-I-N-G, baby, I'm all you need.
All right, welcome back, everybody. You're with Stephen Beseda on my podcast, Get It. And today I am blessed with being able to have a special guest, Coach Todd Franklin from Simpson University. And Todd I met Todd because of basketball. I have a high school program. He was interested in one of my guys at the time, and we've been able to formulate a relationship. And on a previous podcast, I talked about being a program changer and how my journey has gone in being a program changer as a strength coach in different schools and then as a basketball coach in this high school I'm at currently. And Todd himself is also a program changer, and he's had quite a little journey himself. And so today I wanted him to speak on that a little bit for you high school basketball players out there. He's going to speak a little bit about things that you can do to increase your chances of getting recruited. And for you parents that have kids that are not just basketball players, but athletes, take notes, because the stuff that he's going to give you guys, it applies to all sports. Yes, there's going to be things that apply to just basketball, but as far as a coaching perspective and being at the higher levels in college, Todd is a great reference for that. And so he's going to speak a little bit about that today. But starting off, Todd, it's great to have you. Thank you so much. And we're going to just jump right in. So I'd love to just go back with you a little bit, and I know a little bit about your journey, but I'd love others about it. So what were you doing before you took the job at Simpson? And then, what was the program like before you took the job? And then what is the program like now? And just, that journey over the last 3 seasons, correct?
Yeah. So,
all right, walk us through it.
Having me. It's always good, especially during this time of quarantine, to be doing different things. And we literally watch hours and hours of video. So actually to see someone and interact with someone is a blessing today. So thank you for this opportunity. Before I was at Simpson, I was a high school basketball coach for 21 years. I never planned on leaving. I was blessed early in my high school career, back when the NCAA allowed exhibition games against non-college teams. I coached for Adidas. And it was fun because I would go around the country for 30 days with a good friend of mine, Phil Bryant, and we played against the best colleges in the world. Played against Duke, North Carolina, Syracuse, UCLA. So being able to be a high school coach, but also be in that environment, I never wanted to leave, because why would you? I mean, how many high school coaches get to coach against Duke twice? And then I was able to work for Coach Krzyzewski in the summer for 2 years, and then Roy Williams when he was at Kansas for 2 years. So I was set. And then our high school, was a small school, and it ended up closing. And so Simpson was always an interest to me, but it was never the right fit. They got a new athletic director here 2 years prior to me coming. He was actually from a Division I school. So he had some Division I aspirations, even though we're an NAI school. And one thing I'm always telling coaches now that are in high school, they're wanting to make the jump, is make sure you go someplace. Well, if you can get a college job, take it.
Right.
If make sure you really look at the fit. I know we talk about fit with kids all the time,
right? But
fit within an organization is really important as well. So the new AD here at Simpson, 2 years prior to me, I could see that he was wanting to make a change in the athletic department. And then my second year here, we got a blessing. We got a brand new president, Dr. Norman Hall, and he's very pro-athletic. So no matter where you go, you need to make sure the people above you are supporting you and want what's best for you, and that your goals are aligned, because you can be the greatest coach in the country, and if your president doesn't really want you to be successful and help you become successful, it's going to be a really frustrating job. So that's probably the biggest thing for coaches, is go where your bosses want and have the same vision that you have.
And so you take the job there. So what was the program like before you took the job there?
Well, it's a dangerous question, because you never know who's listening. And having spoken a few times, I always preface by saying, the changes that we've made doesn't necessarily say we didn't like this previous staff. And that's always a danger, but it's also a truth. Like, they wanted changes. So wins and losses, they'd won 5 games the year before me. They'd won 8 before that. So obviously they weren't winning.
Okay.
When I first took the job, I walked around and I immediately realized it wasn't a talent issue that we had here at Simpson. It was and this is a dangerous thing. It was a character and what kind of culture do they have here?
Right.
And so the room I'm in now, when I walked in this room here, it had blue carpet. It was held together with tape. There was no paint on the wall. It was white. It was dungy. People had taken pins. So I realized right away it was a culture problem. And you hear the word culture all the time, but one thing I know that more is caught than taught. And so I dove right in and said, hey, can I redo the team room? And so now we have what we consider a first-class team room for the student athletes. They can come in, they watch video anytime. They got their own locker space. It's really space for basketball players to kind of get away from everything else, watch film, but also have a little home within the home, and they can study and hang out. So culture began before the kids ever got on campus. And then trying to recruit the right type of kids. There are a million kids wanting to play college basketball. And
of course,
going through all those different videos and meetings and making sure we get the right type of kid that can actually go to school here and that, understands we're a faith-based school and can live within those realms of what the school wants and succeed as a student. And so my first year, I recruited some kids that weren't ready for the college level academia. And so I've had to grow and learn too on who can actually pass college classes and be sustainable. So it's a growing process, but our issue was more of not having a culture that was sustainable and that we wanted to help grow and kids come in and be part of that.
Right. So, I've talked a lot about culture, and I know we've talked about culture. And one of my big things is like, no matter where I go, no matter what program I take on. So it could be as a strength conditioning coach going into a football program. It's obviously could be as a basketball coach going in and coaching, at a school like I'm at now. But one of my big things, kind of to your point, is when I come into something, taking a quick survey of the land, what am I walking into? Where are we at? And then doing a little bit of research. What was the program's success or not success? And, I don't blame others. I think that that's an easy escape really to project things. But I just say, hey, look, where were we at beforehand? What's happened? Where are we at now? What are the kind of kids, like you say, I get a bunch of kids and where I'm at, we can't cut. We don't have enough kids. So, and I'm okay with that. I like just if kids want to play, give them to me and let's go ahead and let's develop them. And so then I get into really, like you said, the character stuff. We talk about character a lot, what it's like to be a real man. And, as a coach, I'm taking on a bunch of young kids coming into high school. So they're starting to learn what that's like and then being that positive influence and turning it into a culture change. And so, for me, it's one of the most fun things to do. I absolutely love it. And I love being able to see where we started and how we started and where we ended. And my time at Calvary this last year was awesome because I got to see such a change, not within just the program or within just my team, but within the culture of the school. And it was funny because my first game this last season, we only had, I think we might have actually had 7 guys for the first game. And the guy who's the announcer and stuff, he was like, hey, man, great to meet you. I'm excited to see, I've heard some things about you. And just so this isn't, there's usually no one in here watching. Like you're going to have kind of an interesting experience. And I was like, that's okay. I don't, if there's no one in here, if it's packed, it doesn't matter. It's not going to change how we play our game. It's not going to change how I coach. And it's not going to change how we have approached the situation. And it's almost like, don't worry. If your problem in life is that the stands are empty, I promise that won't be the problem when the season's over here. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, that'll be interesting to see. So we won our first 2 games. And then we played in some tournaments that were really, really high level. We're the smallest division. And we're a small school, so we played at we're playing schools that are Division II or Division 5A, I think AA, so we're low. And so we took some lickings in the preseason, but then going into the season and then having the success we did, and it was like crazy. The stands were absolutely packed from start of league till the end of league, and it was cool to really get to see that and be part of that. And for you did a very similar thing where you came into a school that as far as wins and losses, they weren't what people would consider a successful program. You came in with some unique challenges, and every coach has unique challenges. You didn't recruit any of those kids there, which is a challenge too. So when you came in, did you lose players that they're like, hey, he's not our coach, he didn't recruit us, we're going to leave? And then give us kind of the, I guess, your quicker version of those building blocks from where you started. What was your record your first season, your second season, and your third season there?
Yeah, and you know what? It's funny, the story that you told, because we had a similar circumstance here. I came from a small school, but it was a big time basketball program, that built over 21 years. And so the fire marshal would show up in playoffs because they had to stop people from coming in. And we had some really good teams. We had some kids that went on and played at a high level.
That's good.
But my first game here, I walked out and I literally had a thought that we must have advertised the wrong time because there was no one here. And I remember thinking, oh man, where's the SID? We must have said a game started at 8, not 7:30. But it wasn't. It was the right time. But we, before my arrival, they didn't charge games. And so that was one of the things I requested right away is, can we please have an admittance fee to come? I mean, if we're going to put a product on the floor that is worth watching, it's worth paying for. Right. And so thankfully they allowed me to do that. And then I started a VIP room. So before the game, boosters will come in, or supporters will have dinner set up for them. I'll come in and talk to them about the team that we're playing. So it's more of an interaction, and they understand what's going on. Everything's an experience now. And so I want the mother, daughter, the father, son. I want to meet with them before the game. So you got to watch this kid. This kid can really shoot on this other team. Or this post player, if he gets on the left-hand side, he's going to do a spin, hook, come back under. Watch that. And so it makes the game fun for fans. So we started doing that. And now, on some of our rival games, you don't get early, you're not getting a seat. And that's the environment. And that's the great thing about small-time college basketball. We play 3 Division I schools each year. There's nothing like the NAI environment in terms of fans and noise and laugh. A lot of times the Division I kids are like, man, we don't have that, at the lower level Division I schools, obviously not the Duke, North Carolinas, but
right.
The small D1s, they don't get that type of interaction. So when they come here, the players have dropped down. They're like, this is an amazing environment. So that makes it fun. Integrating that first year was interesting, but thankfully I run different businesses. So I have a lot of, understanding of how people work. And understanding that we had to create one team, even though some of those guys weren't from my recruiting class. And we were able to get rid of some kids. There was some kids right away that culture-wise you could tell wasn't going to fit in a new regime. But those kids blended. They had won 5 games, and we won 5 in December. So winning solves a lot of problems. Winning, obviously, is not the ultimate goal of everything, but it is important. And we talk about winning all the time. So when we won more games than they'd won the previous year in the first month, we got a lot of buy-in. And then bringing in kids in that actually sat in the front of class. We talk about kids all the time. Take off the hoodies, take out the earbuds, sit in class, pay attention, interact. You will be remembered for something.
Yep.
If you sit in the back of the hoodie, you're going to be remembered for that. If you sit in the front, you might not be the best student, but you're an attentive student, you're going to be remembered. And we hopefully that'll change the culture of how athletes are viewed on campus as well.
Right. Well, and so my coach was big on that when I played in college. And, one of the big things is it wasn't just like kind of you said, it wasn't about that we were the best students, but we were in the class, in the front row, we were paying attention, and we got the benefit of the doubt. So if we came to the teacher or professor, and maybe we struggled with something, we got the benefit of the doubt because we were there every day in the front, engaged. And that really benefited me because prior to my college experience, I have learning disabilities. And so me and school were not a good fit. To be honest, I wasn't even going to go to college. My mother had a meltdown, and we negotiated. So, oh, no worries.
Yeah, sorry about that. We have a little motion sensor. So.
Oh, no worries. So, yeah, no worries at all. So we, so I learned so many valuable lessons. And when I did, when my time with college basketball had come to an end from some injuries I sustained, I still finished my collegiate career academically. And those principles that I learned from my first 2 years, like I could have easily skipped classes, going to my 4-year university. I could have easily not sat in the front row. I could have easily been kind of the kid that you were talking about, but I had a newfound respect for myself, and I had a respect for my professors I hadn't had before, and I had a respect for other people. And it really drove me to excel, and my college grades were vastly superior to my high school grades. I got really good grades because I cared finally. And, it's a mindset thing. It's really cool to hear that, there are because you hear all the bad college coaches, right? It's hard where unless you're Coach K, right, over at Duke or one of the other top, 4 or 5, you don't hear about that kind of stuff a lot, right? But you do hear about all the kids that are problem kids or programs that are problem programs and stuff. And so it's really encouraging to see that, there's other programs out there that you might not hear about on ESPN every night, but are doing things right and are building young men the right way and helping them to be successful through the next chapter of their life, because we're all going to eventually be done playing the game, right? And there's got to be another chapter for us. But so you've come in, you get your 5 wins in December. How does the rest of that first season go from a win and loss standpoint? Then how do you start to reshape your program in year 2? And then how do you end up in year 3? And I know that this is year 3 currently for you, right? And obviously you guys didn't get to finish out your season due to the COVID-19 virus and shutting down sports. But I just would love to know, where were you guys supposed to be seeded going into your tournament and stuff too?
Yeah, well, actually our conference is a little earlier. So we actually finished our conference tournament. So we'll go back to the first year. They hadn't made playoffs in quite a while. So we actually qualified for playoffs our first year. And coaching is all about learning and knowing what you don't know. And in high school, on a really good high school team, you're probably going to have 3 or 4 really good players, and then you might have another player that, is a role player, doesn't score, but is a good player. But you're probably going to have one primary ball handler that you got to know, maybe one shooter, one slash or something like that. But college, it was a little different. I didn't know my first year that I had to know the 9th guy that played 4 minutes, what he did. And, we talked about some of the schools in our conference earlier. We played a team last year in playoffs, in conference, and this kid came off the bench, had 5 threes. And I'm looking at my assistant like, who is this kid? And, I'll never make that mistake again, because, we'd scout the first 9. Well, the 10th guy comes in and knocks down 5 threes, 5 for 7. Now that was a career night for him. He hasn't done that since, but we weren't ready for that. And so that's another part of growth is accepting what you don't know, but refusing to let that be the norm. So I've had to reach out to college friends of mine that evaluation as a coach, going, you know what, we want to get better. We want to continue to rise as coaches and do podcasts, do networking, and keep learning. I think that's an example for kids. When they see you expanding your knowledge, they're eager to expand theirs. So again, it's more is caught than taught, being an example. But our second year, made playoffs again, lost by 3 in the semifinals of our tournament. This year, we made playoffs again. We lost to the number 1 team in our conference. Antelope Valley is a phenomenal basketball school. A lot of drop-down D1 kids. They actually went back to the national finals, won their first game by 20-plus points. We're rolling, and then the whole virus thing happened, so they had to come home, unfortunately, without playing that out. But what a great experience for all of our conferences and our kids. But we've got some amazing teams right here pretty close to us. Oregon Tech up there, they were the number 1 team in the country coming into the season. Justin does a phenomenal job. Southern Oregon, Coach McDermott does a great job. So there's really good basketball around here that I'm trying to learn and glean and steal some ideas from. Well,
you're in the Pacific Northwest, man. That's where a lot of those good ballers are from, man. Especially Washington State. I was, and obviously I'm a little biased. I'm from Washington State, born and raised for 24 years. But there was an ESPN thing that came out, and Washington State, over the course of like a 6 or 7 year period, was putting out more NBA players per capita than anywhere else in the entire world combined. Wow. Because Washington State was putting out like 4 or 5 guys a year that were going into the NBA from Washington State. And everybody's like, dude, Washington State's got a population of like 5 million people, and yet 5 guys a year, 6 guys a year are getting drafted into the NBA. And Washington State, I always tell people, like, Washington State and basketball is like Texas and football.
Yeah.
You don't hear about that much because we're on the West Coast. We're this little sleepy, drowsy, cloudy kind of city and area. But people don't know, like, everybody plays basketball. Like, you go to open basketball gyms, and I grew up in a small town of 1,000 people. Our big city around us was like 5,000 people. You couldn't get into a gym that wasn't packed with 40, 50, 60 guys running 2 courts. And if you lost, you were sitting there for a while and waiting. And it was competitive. You got guys that are 14 and guys that are 80 years old playing. There was one guy, Sarge. He was my coach for when I was a kid. Dude was 90, going up and down the court, getting chippy with people, shoving people around, like getting after it. Like, everybody knew him because he'd been coaching for 70 years. You know, so we all knew him. But he was a chippy old man. And he was playing. He had a couple plays coming. They looked like, you know, these big old biker gang guys. They were all, you know, it's just like that's what it's like. And so, yeah, that conference, anything in the Pacific Northwest, man, they take their basketball seriously.
Yes, they do.
So, next thing for me, and walking through your journey here. So, what have been some of the biggest highs for you so far, or ups, and then what have been some of the more challenging, like, lows or downs for you through the course of these 3 years as you've reshaped and really came in and not just reshaped the basketball program, you were a culture changer and you changed the culture of that school, especially in regards to basketball. So through that journey so far, what have been some of those ups and downs for you?
You know, well, the highs, we'll talk about the highs first. You know, it's as a high school coach, you know, you got your 3 seasons, just like your college coach. You get your preseason, your season, your postseason. And everyone kind of understands your preseason is you're playing usually tougher opponents like you guys do down there, which I respect a ton. Is we never wanted to play a school. There was no cupcakes on our schedule. It's just not my personality.
Right.
And so I kind of brought that same mentality here. And then you look at some of the more successful programs, you know, you have to get some wins. So obviously that's why you see, you know, the teams playing the exhibition, the NEI teams. You see, you know, we play Sac State. That's for a reason. We play Cal Poly. They have those games where they come in and they get to run all their stuff more efficiently than they probably do against teams in their conference, Air Force and Nevada, teams like that. So, you know, you understand the difference of winning early. But probably some of the highs is winning a college game is like winning a section final for me in high school, because everything's put up, all the entire year is put up for that section championship game in high school. Well, you almost have the same amount, and again, I'm not taking away from the high school game, I love it, but you put so much effort into every single game. And
right.
In high school, you don't have that much time. You're playing 3 games a week.
Right.
You know most stuff about your opponent. You've been playing it for 20 years.
Right.
In college, there's new coaches, new players coming in, different schemes. You know, are they running the pack line? Do they trap? Is the full court? You know, and then personnel changes by semester. So the amount of study that goes into every single game is different. So when you win one of those, because college games aren't easy to win at any level, and when you win one, it's ecstatic. The lopside is you invested so much time. When you lose one, it's obviously hard to deal with.
Right.
You know, we lost the game in a tournament this year. We were down 21, came all the way back. 2 of our players had fouled out. 1 couldn't play after halftime. Down 1 at the free throw line. Missed a free throw. Ball gets tapped out. Guy hits it. Knocks down a 3. Crowd goes nuts. We go nuts. The scorekeeper forgot to start the clock. So the officials met and they said, hey, we don't know what happened, but there's no bucket. When you go back to the replay, there was plenty of time. They actually had 0.3 seconds left, you know, before the clock should have even expired. You can't control those. So I think in college you learn the control was a lot greater because there's a lot less control in college. In high school, you know your officials, you know your opponent, you know the location.
Right.
So the controlling is probably one of the biggest differences. But the highs of seeing graduation is so phenomenal in college. I mean, watching kids walk across, that might be the first time their family had someone graduate. You know, those are the moments. Having kids come back, invite you in their weddings, those are the moments. You know, I remember every win, I remember every loss, but I dwell on, you know, seeing someone get engaged, you know, and how they proposed and all those things. And, of course, the graduating, we've got kids that came here from Chicago are now working for our local sheriff's department, working for our local Peace Corps. I mean, they're changing. Reading is a better place now because of them. And that's very, very satisfying.
I love that. That's one thing that I definitely, as a coach, have enjoyed is the relationships I've cultivated. And as a strength coach, I've got relationships with so many of my athletes, and it's the most rewarding aspect because, it's not, I don't make that much. I'm not sitting here balling out making millions of dollars. So, but I love being that person that makes those impacts. For me, that's priceless. And so I have a guy getting drafted right now in the NFL, and I was supposed to be at his draft party. This would have been the first person, because I've had other kids get drafted in sports, but I've never been in the same area where I was able to attend. So this is my first year I was ever going to be at a draft party and be there when he gets drafted. And because of this, he's at his grandfather's house and there's no one allowed there. It's him, his mom, his dad, and his grandma and grandpa. And because his grandparents are older, they have, they can't be around anybody else. So he called me yesterday and he's like, Coach, I'm really sorry. I'm going to have to tell you something that's going to be tough. And I was like, that's okay, man. I know what you're going to tell me. He's like, I appreciate you, man. Like, I'll Zoom you or I'll FaceTime you or something. But he's like, I wish you could be there. It's just not going to happen this time. I was like, I know. It's okay. So it's a bummer, though, because these are the moments that I was like, oh, man, this will be my first one.
Yeah.
But that's okay. But, moving on and, again, I really appreciate your time. The last thing I wanted to walk through with you, it's one thing for me to always tell kids what you need to do to go to college and what you need to do to get recruited to college, and again, obviously I don't coach college basketball. I've gotten to date most of my kids to play college basketball through my high school program, unless they chose that they didn't want to, Tommy obviously being one of them. What would you say are the important things, and maybe not just specific to basketball players, but just if you want to play college sports, what are some of the things that you can do to really increase your chances?
Yeah, and we could probably do another podcast just on being recruitable. So I'll touch a couple of them just as fast as I can for you. But when we go to a game, we're generally not watching what everyone else outside of coaches and people who have been around, we're not watching what they watch. So, sometimes sitting next to a parent that, I flew to Idaho and you end up sitting by the parents of the kid that you're there, and you can just see the tension they feel when kids miss shots. Oh man, he normally makes that, man, I'm shocked. Honestly, there's some kids if we're really recruiting them, we don't want them to have career nights. That's horrible, I know, but there's a joke of man, that kid knocked down too many shots today. We're not going to be shot at him, but we're not really watching that. We're watching a lot of the body language stuff. When the coach calls timeout, how does he go back to the huddle? When he's subbed out, is he at the end of the bench? Stuff you tell your kids all the time, but it's not getting heard because we literally will close the book on kids by where they go sit. They put the towel over their head. They're at the end of the bench. There's 3 seats between them and their teammates. They're not engaged. When they fouled out, are they still listening to the coach? Are they still in the huddle? Are they looking up at the crowd? Are they talking to people? Body language speaks way more than language. And so we do that a lot. And then obviously on the defensive end, a kid will have 30 points. He thinks you're going to recruit him, and we'll walk away from him because he scored 30 and gave up 38. He's not in a position to help, or he doesn't care about defense. He tries to tip the ball from behind. He just doesn't care about the end of the floor. So obviously that's an easy out. And then how many kids actually understand basketball versus play basketball? And getting kids to actually understand what am I doing, why am I doing it, and how am I doing it, and at what time am I doing it. A shot in the first quarter might not be the shot that we want to see him take in the fourth quarter of a high school game. So does he understand the game? The way recruiters change right now is it's all about videos. And so we could do an entire podcast on videos. Literally some of the videos, we will not get through the 10-second mark before we've hit delete. And I feel bad for those parents, but I will get an average between 35 and 50 videos a day. And so I'm watching those and my assistants are watching them. So I know I've got 40 left. If it starts out with smoke and intro music and a guy running over in intros, I've already hit delete. So you've got 10 seconds, 15 seconds to grab an attention.
Right.
And then we want to see full game film. And so a lot of the highlight videos, those parents should save those for when their kids are older or when they have kids of their own. They can show their kids. But you dunking in warm-ups is not going to get you recruited anymore. You breaking out and cheating and getting a breakaway dunk, that's not a big deal to most coaches. So that video's got to be crisp. It's got to be clean, and we want to see multiple games. But, if I've got 50 videos and if I give every one of them 1 minute, so there's my hour. And then I'm going to go through, and if half of those we're interested in, I'm getting 2 full game films of those kids.
Right.
So it's 80 minutes per kid that we're watching, and there's 10 kids, the time gets eaten up. So I think videos are great, but parents who are paying for all these things got to understand what you're buying.
And no, that's the crazy part. These companies make so much money, man. And that's why I tell parents, because I have parents always ask me, oh, should we do this service? I'm like, no, it's $3,500.
Yeah.
For what? So you can put your stuff on a thing that some coach may look at? No, let me help. Your kid play for me. I will talk to coaches and I'll have them get looks, and then the coaches will tell me what they liked and didn't like, and I'll tell you because I have no agenda here other than helping get your kid to the next level. So I'm going to take everything they tell me. We're going to have a real conversation, and then we're going to get better, or you're going to walk away and say you're not part of the program we want to be part of. Fine. Yeah. It's funny though, because I do recruit for my higher level high school team, my open team, and I can't tell you how many kids I went and watched, and they knew. I've been coaching in the Orange County area for so long. Everybody knows who I am at this point. I got red hair. I'm a white guy. I stick out like a sore thumb. And so when I get to gyms, and I already, when I walk in, first of all, I probably have already coached 3 to 4 kids, probably the 3 to 4 starters on each team, and they've all played together at some point or another. So I go and I say hi to all my guys, which has already caught the attention of everybody else there, including sometimes college coaches. They'll come over and be like, where do you coach? I'm like, I don't coach college. I just have a club, but I just, I'll go, I'll watch, and, I get these kids that, like you're talking about, man, I can just see they are complete cancer. I'll get a call from these kids, and it's happened 2 years now where a kid actually called me and said, Coach, I know you're at my game. I heard from so-and-so that you came to check me out, but you didn't stay and talk to me. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. Everything you said is true. I came to see you, and I didn't talk to you. I'm like, well, why? I'm like, because you're not coachable. You're cancer. I know this is going to be a hard pill for you to swallow, but the way that you are, I can't take a kid like that. I'm sorry. It's just not going to work. And I don't take cancer in my program. And I know that I've been doing this long enough to know that you're not going to listen to what I say, because the coach that you have, he's been coaching you for 2 years, and that's the way that you treat him. That's the way that you talk to him. And you think that that's appropriate and acceptable. And you did that with your parents being in the stands, which means you don't have a problem. The other thing is that means your parents didn't teach you respect. And I'm not going to be the person that wastes my time trying to teach you respect to find out that you don't have that respect in you. So I'm not going to take you. If I see you again someday, great. I hope that you take this lesson to heart and it changes the person that you are and you take it seriously, but I will not recruit you. Both of these kids that called me, I did go and watch again the same season towards the end just to see if they took it to heart, if they actually took what I said seriously. But this time I wore a big baggy sweatshirt. I put on a fitted hat, kept it real low so people couldn't see me, put the hoodie over my head because I don't want anybody to recognize me. And I go sit in kind of an area where there's definitely people, and I just kept to myself, very quiet, sat back so people couldn't see me, and I didn't engage anybody. Same thing. We're talking, it's been 6 weeks, your season's almost over. Like, we had this talk and you're still acting this way. And it's just like, there's no, and it just goes to show, like, I was right. Like, I spent the 20 to 30 minutes to talk to you, and sometimes their parents are on the phone. But it's just crazy. Everybody thinks, first of all, everybody thinks they're playing college basketball. It's rare that I've ever had a team when I say, hey, who wants to play college basketball? And not everybody's hands are up. And I say, well, who thinks they're going to actually make it? Everybody's hands are up. Like, guys, you do know only the top 1.5% of high school varsity basketball players play college. And that is from the JC level to the D1 level. That's all of it. So you take 100 guys 2 of you are going to play. You think you're better than the other 98 guys. And, people just, and then the things that they tell me, is like, oh, I want to play at Kansas or Kansas State. I want to be a Jayhawk, or I want to be, at Duke. I'm like, guys, let's focus on just being better players. Let's definitely have goals, but understand that you may not attain that goal. And it's okay to go the JC route. It's okay to go to a D3. It's okay to go to an AIA. You don't have to play Division I. And these kids it's like speaking a foreign language to them. And then the second that they have a bad game or they don't do well, then it's just like, oh, then they quit. I'm like, guys, didn't you just tell me you want to be a Jayhawk, or you want to be at Duke, or you want to play for UCLA? I don't know any kids there that lose a game and then they just quit playing for the team they're on. That makes no sense. It's just crazy, and this whole and the other frustration, and I don't know if you have this at your level as much, but for me, at the high school level, especially club level, man, the things that parents have to say sometimes, I'm just like, guys, we're not on the same ocean right now. You guys are over in the Indian Ocean and I'm on the Pacific Ocean. And we got to get to the Atlantic Ocean together somehow to be in the same, what you guys are saying, you couldn't be more incorrect. And I just don't want to waste your time and money, so I'm going to tell you straight. You couldn't be more incorrect. There is no way. I had a dad last season. So I have a kid. His name's Jordan Williams. Freak athlete. As a freshman, he was on my 17U Open team this last season. He must have had 10 Division II school coaches come talk to me about him. They all thought he was a junior. Because, he's long. He looks, as a freshman, he didn't look like a freshman either. In full transparency, the kid didn't look like a freshman. He was dunking on guys. He's hitting his open threes. He's incredibly athletic. So he's getting all kinds of steals and block shots. The kid can jump. His head almost hits the rim. So he's long, lean, athletic. He plays football too, so he's very aggressive. And I guess he's got a bunch of football, a bunch of schools looking at him for football too, so he doesn't know what he wants to play. But I sat with him and his dad and his mom for our season ending meetings that I do. And I left that meeting with his parents dumbfounded. Not his mom. His mom, very sweet. And his dad, nothing wrong with his dad. His dad's a nice guy and all that. But the expectation levels and the things he was saying, I was like, where is this coming from? I don't understand where you are coming from with all stuff. And I just simply said, sir, we're not there yet. He's talking about UCLA and how they're going to recruit him and then they're going to take all of his brothers and sisters and scholarship them for free because of Jordan. I'm like, doesn't work that way. It's not happening. And he's like, well, the Ball family. I'm like, I don't know about the Ball family and their situation, but those kids could play basketball and all three of them could play basketball. So, and the oldest one and the youngest one are really good. The middle one I always knew was probably going to struggle a little bit. And I didn't think it was probably a good idea that his dad had put targets on all their backs. But the younger one, if you think about it, he was playing with his older brothers and playing basketball with them since he was a kid, right? So he's used to playing older, faster, stronger competition, and he plays. And I've watched him over the years, and I've met the Ball family a few times because they ran their little their 1 year that they had the pro thing going on. They ran all their practice out of Momentous. So I've met all the guys and stuff. But, it's just everybody's situation is different, right? They can all play basketball. You're telling me you think all your kids are going to get scholarships and they don't even play any sports because of your one son. That doesn't work. That's not going to happen. And the other thing too is at that time, that whole thing had come out about the shoe sponsors and the paying coaches and stuff. And then you have this thing with the celebrities and paying coaches to get their kids into school at certain things and have a scholarship. It's just and yeah, it's not happening, my man. No. So you get some unrealistic things.
There's a lot of craziness. And one thing that we try to understand is, and people sometimes get a little, man, why would you say that? But if they don't bite when they're a puppy, they don't bite when they're a dog. My dad taught me that a long time ago. So when you look at someone's character, you think how hard it is to change yourself. You know,
Right.
as coaches, sometimes we will look at a kid, well, we can make him do this. And making a kid do something, you know, you can make a kid angry so he does something, but truly the kids that want to succeed are going to motivate themselves. And all we are is direction. You know, we're basically a compass. How to get kids to go to the right spot, the right fit, and then let them make their choices. But, you know, it's interesting watching as a college coach now. I'll go sit in a high school gym, and I didn't hear all this stuff as a high school coach because you're concentrating on what you're doing. And as a high school coach, you're doing a ton of things. You know, you set up the gym, you got the snack bar ready, you made sure someone's sitting at the front table, you got security at the back door. I mean, you're doing everything. You're not listening to mom and dad in the back or the auntie. And as a college coach, I go sit in the gym now, and people, if they see you come in, they want to prove their knowledge right away. And they'll start talking loudly because you're there. And, you know, I tell my assistants, and we'll, you know, if I go to a gym and I might see 3 coaches from my conference, so we'll sit there and watch a game. We're like, I mean, we literally laugh at the stuff we hear, you know, trying not to be impolite, but people will express their lack of knowledge very loudly in the gym.
Right.
But also let you know what you're dealing with at the home life. And do you want to take that kid? So there's not a college coach in the country that probably hasn't walked away from a kid because stuff that they've heard or stuff they've seen outside of the pureness of basketball.
Right.
And there's a lot of kids on playgrounds that are really, really talented that either talk themselves out of a scholarship, talk themselves out of college, and that's sad. But, you know, there's not an ill wind that doesn't blow favor someone's way. You know what I mean? No matter what happens, someone's going to benefit from it. And so hopefully all the kids that are supposed to be there should be there, because I don't believe anyone's getting slept on. I think everyone that needs to be recruited is getting recruited in the day and age of social media and sites and normal camps and exposure.
Well, you know, and it's the parents. They're the worst, right? Because they're the ones like, oh, everybody's sleeping on my kid. And I'm like, who?
Yeah.
Everybody. Like, okay, well, let me, you know what? I'll come watch your kid then. Let me see what your kid can do. And it's just like, your kid, no. And like you said, you know, it's so funny because, well, you know, we live in this day and age of like this victim mentality. I tell my guys, you know, from day one, like, you're young men. I'm going to hold you personally accountable. You, each and every one of you. And if I hear anybody blame, you know, this is especially with my high school job at Calgary, I tell them, man, if you blame your teammate, good luck playing in a game. Good luck. I had 6 kids for a good chunk of my season. Only 6. I'll play with 5. I'll play with 4. I only need 4. They'll let you play with 4 kids.
There's Norman Dale.
Yeah, I was like, I don't care. Like, it's my way, you know. And the other thing too is because I've had, you know, I've definitely had so many amazing parents. I've had way more amazing parents in my experience as a coach than problem parents. It's not even close. 95% of my families have been amazing, high school and below. Only 5% have been problems, and I usually get rid of them fairly quickly after because I just don't like the cancer aspect of things. But 100%, there we go. I love just being able to help the kids that they're there for the right reasons. They want to get better. They're coachable. And, you know, that's why we had so much success, or I had so much success with my team at Calgary. I don't know, you know, all the guys with the exception of 1 or 2, because they want to play a different college sport, said they want to play college basketball. And I think that there's definitely, I think 3 or 4 of them can play for sure. Where they play, we'll see. I mean, they're freshmen. You know, I got another year with them here, and we'll see how they continue to do. But just from a coachability aspect, and their parents are always just so amazing and, you know, great family. So it's like, you know, you guys got the right thing. You're coachable. You got good attitudes. You work hard. You get good grades. You have good families. Those are the most important things, you know. And the growth that they had was just, I wish I could have videotaped. This is one of those things where I look back and I'm like, dang it. This season, I'm not going to make the same mistake. I'm going to go buy a video camera, and I'm going to set up and videotape my very first practice. Yeah. And I'm going to videotape we do practice, like we do tryouts midweek, and then our official practices start on Monday. So I'm going to videotape my practice on one Monday. Just the very first practice. Then I'm going to videotape our practice before our first game, and then our practice after our first game, and then a couple other landmarks. Just so the kids can see how much that they really grew in a short span of time. Because, you know, like, you know, I've got 6 freshmen playing JV basketball. That's, these guys didn't play club, so just what they learned in 1 week. I mean, this is more than they've learned their whole life of basketball, and I only take two things. So screens and fakes. So your jab step, so a fake attack, fake shot, fake pass, and then how do you set a screen properly, how do you take a screen properly. And we'll spend 2 hours on it. And then we'll work on boxing out and rebounding for 2 hours. And we'll take 1 or 2 skills and we'll do it for 2 hours. And then we'll repeat that schedule the next week until I see that we're executing things perfectly. But it's
the great thing about video and practice too, when we do it now a lot, and fortunately we have a manager that comes in videos, and then after practice she'll walk by and hand us the thumb drive. Not only does it help your kids, but it helps you. I mean,
yeah.
I didn't realize how much overcoaching I was doing. And then you watch a video and you're like, man, I'm talking. I could cut down my talking 50%. I got 3 kids that are always in the drill, and I got 7 who are sitting outside. So it's a great evaluator of talent, but it's also a great evaluator of ourselves. Yeah. And it's very telling. I mean, there's times I'll be like, man, coach, you need to shut up. I mean, it's talking to myself. I mean, that horse is dead. Get off it. Stop spurring it.
Yeah, right.
As coaches, we are emotional and we're driven. 100%. And so we will get stuck on something. And so watching your own video I highly encourage it to everybody. Not only so their kids can see it and you can see what the kids are doing when you're not looking, but you can also see what you're doing that you can improve on. Because
100%.
We're clay. We always talk about kids being coachable, and coaches being coachable is awful important.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. And I think that's what separates the best coaches from the coaches that will never really grow or be good, right? I mean, what you just said right there is the willingness just to get better and grow. I probably spend, I don't know about you, and I have other businesses, so I only have X amount of hours a day, but I still try and spend at least a couple hours a month just watching coaches that are better than me and listening to them. And I love watching stuff on Coach K when he puts stuff on YouTube, or Papadopoulos or Phil Jackson when he used to coach. Just listening to those guys, and some of the stuff is always monumentally impacted me and how I do things. So, but Coach, I appreciate you so much. I know we've reached the end of our time here. You got your next thing, but yeah, we'll have to do another one on just recruiting and video or something. But thank you so much. I really appreciate having you on this today. And for those that want to kind of follow your journey, just give them a quick way to see what you guys are up to, or follow you specifically.
Yeah, they can go to our website, SimpsonRedHawks.com. They can go to my Twitter handle, Coach Franklin, which is interesting because I get a ton of – just last night, I always know when Penn State wins or loses because I get a lot of @Coach Franklin, and because their football coach is Coach Franklin as well. So I think it's John. So now he has a Coach J. Franklin. So I'm getting less, but even last night I have a booster. What are you, crazy signing that kid? So, but yeah, they can follow me on Twitter. They can follow me on Instagram. And then they can always just reach out. My cell phone's available. Coaches are 24/7. We all have 24 hours in a day. And what we do with our 2 free hours each day is we turn off the phone. But anyone can access me anytime through social media or through my cell phone.
Well, appreciate you, Coach. Thank you so much. And thank you, people who've come and watched us today. My name's Stephen Beseda. You're with Get It on the Social Nostra Network. And you can contact me as well on my Instagram at @ssbeseda. Take care, everybody, and thanks again for joining us.
All right.
Take care, Coach.